Okay, you've seen the gaming test of the brand new Galaxy S24 Ultra and you've seen the benchmark and took a look at the battery life in our standardized battery life test. However, I want to highlight that everything that was shown here in this video as well is using this build number here, and it is said that Samsung is going to release yet another firmware update that will change how this phone performs. I am not sure how much it will change, but currently the update has still not arrived yet. We are going to proceed with our review because, well, Samsung is confident enough to send us this phone with this current version of software, and I think that we shouldn't rely on the potential future updates to fix things. So we will just review whatever we have right now. But anyway, we are not going to talk about the AI features and whatnot, as we are only focusing on the phone itself. I do believe that the phone itself needs to be good first, and those AI features are kind of like nice to have additions. Also, there are a lot of other videos from other content creators showing how the Galaxy AI feature works. So yeah, if you have any other crazy ideas, then do leave them down in the comment section below, because I will also try them out in our future video. So let's start. Everything is timestamped at the bottom of this video here, so you can skip to whichever part that you want to watch the most. And also, please remember to like this video and subscribe. And also share this video as well. That will help us out a lot since we don't have sponsors for this kind of videos. And starting with the design. The Ultra for this generation is using a titanium frame and it feels alright. The titanium grey color that we have here looks really minimalistic. While this is indeed a minimalistic design though, I personally would like some flair. Both the titanium green and titanium violets are gonna be my first and also third most favorite color for this year around, the titanium green being the second most favorite. And the contrasting frame color for the titanium green in particular is just gonna be pulling on my heartstrings. Speaking of that, the back of this phone is also using a matte finish, and I think it's a bit more matte than before. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels a bit smooth compared to its previous generations. Either way, it feels nice to touch, but it might not offer that much grip. Some people have already highlighted this many times before, and I will just highlight this once more. The corners of this phone though, it just makes the phone not that nice to hold in the hands while using it in one-handed mode, because as you can see here, it will dig into my palm, and it's just not a very pleasant experience. But this is something that will vary from person to person depending on how you hold the phone. In my opinion though, another big upgrade on the S24 Ultra is the screen. It's using a flat screen now, and words can't describe how much I appreciate this change. I've always complained about screen protectors on curved screens because we are only stuck with either film or hydrogel screen protectors, and they absolutely suck. Now we can finally use tempered glass screen protectors on the S24 Ultra. I'm just not sure how it will affect the under-display fingerprint scanner, but that's another topic for another day. I get it, the bezels are now visible from the front, but hey, they're extremely thin, and this is a good balance between practicality and style. The screen itself also got an upgrade in two ways. First, it is using the Corning Gorilla Glass armor, which has glare reduction as well, and that will definitely help while using this phone under direct bright sunlight. As a comparison, I shot this video while having both the S24 Plus and the S24 Ultra at 100 nits of brightness. Blasted with studio lights, we can clearly see the differences between these two phones. The second upgrade is an iterative one, and that is the upgraded brightness. This phone screen can go up to 1350 nits, which is around 200 nits brighter than the S23 Ultra's screen. But one thing I have to highlight is the color accuracy. You see, when I booted up the S24 Ultra for the first time, I immediately realized that the color isn't as saturated as the S23 Ultra. Some people might like it, some people might not. But I'm only here to find out why, because I'm using the exact same settings on these two phones. When we did our color accuracy test, I was right. The DCI-P3 color gamut coverage has dropped, while the sRGB color gamut coverage remains virtually the same at 100%. What's impressive here though is that the delta E number, the maximum, is only at 1.02, And that means even in the worst case scenario, our eyes cannot tell the difference in color. And now let's talk about the performance. The S24 Ultra is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 worldwide, and you've already seen our gaming tests and benchmarks of this phone in particular. If you haven't, then check those links down in the description below after watching this review. And I believe software updates could make this phone perform better, but that's just a theory. I don't know for sure. The one thing that I found out is that the thermal headroom of this phone is only at 43 degrees Celsius, which is very low actually. That is why you see that this phone thermal throttling easily when we start playing games. Honestly speaking, I didn't expect it to throttle that hard, as we're only getting around 30 FPS in Genshin Impact at the highest graphical setting with the highest possible render resolution. Wow, the rain is really starting to pick up, so you might hear some rain ASMR here. But back to the topic at hand, Samsung could have increased the thermal limit to somewhere around 48 degrees Celsius and the phone will still be fine, but many people will start complaining that it's too hot to touch. And so I just understand the dilemma that Samsung is facing. Actually, not just Samsung, every other phone brands is also going to face the same issue. If the phone is too hot, you get more performance, people will still complain because it's just too hot to touch. That's just how things go. And especially for phones, it has a lot of external factors that affect how much it should thermal throttle. Perhaps we should do a video regarding thermal throttling and explain how and why it actually happens. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, because I would be down to do that video if you're interested to watch. As for the battery life, it's the same as last year, so 5000 mAh battery, and at 1440p resolution locked at 120Hz refresh rate, it can last 15 hours on the dot using our standardized battery life test. Since we did the same test for the S23 Ultra when it was released, then we can compare the data from last year to get an idea how much more efficient the S24 Ultra is, and the result is stunning. We're getting about 15% increment over S23 Ultra's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2's efficiency. And that phone was already heralded as one of the best phones in terms of battery life. This could be improvements made in One UI 6.0, because even my Galaxy Z Fold 5, my daily driver, has better battery life once I have updated to One UI 6.0, but we cannot redo the battery life right now for the S23 Ultra because it has been in use and the battery has just been degraded over the last year, so it's not a fair comparison. But what about the charging speed of this phone then? Well, it has not changed for a few years actually, so we are only getting 45 watts of USB PD PPS, and it can get to 100% in about an hour, and that's pretty much the same as the S23 Ultra as well. Ever since One UI 6.0 though, the battery bypass feature is now available by default, so we can plug our USB PD PPS charger of at least 25 watts into the phone and then enable battery bypass feature, and we should be able to get better performance when we are playing games on this phone. And speaking of the software, the overall UI experience remains pretty much the same as well. Some might say that Samsung's One UI is full of bloatware, but it is only considered to be bloatware if you don't use those features. For me personally, I do use those features. The biggest addition though is the Galaxy AI features, but we are not here to talk about it since that topic in itself is quite lengthy and I think it deserves a video of its own. Just know that you can head into the settings menu and then make all of the AI processing to be done locally on your phone, so your privacy is protected. If you enable this option, then Galaxy AI might not work optimally though. One more big upgrade is that Samsung will now provide 7 generations of Android OS upgrades and 7 years of security patches. This is a huge upgrade for their already great software update policy, and it's just a big win for us consumers. No doubt about that. But now it is time to talk about the cameras, and this is something that I'll only brush through. Many other YouTubers have already tested the cameras, so you can refer to those as they take better pictures than I do. Also, the cameras don't take particularly good pictures with this current version of software, especially during night shots, so I am still eagerly waiting for that new firmware update. Now, out of all 3 phones within the Galaxy S24 family, The S24 Ultra will have the best looking pictures out of the box despite not having a firmware update. For the day shots, I'm pleasantly surprised how nice everything looks and nothing looks off, I would say. The white balance and exposures are well controlled for all 4 cameras. Yes, 4. Then I attended an ASUS event and those people immediately took this phone and went off to take some pictures. Those shots were taken using portrait mode and they look actually very good. The subject segmentation is accurate and the blurring, well, I do think that it looks a bit extreme, but we can adjust how much blur that we want in portrait mode. The night shots is where the pictures start to get affected. Taking a picture of this scene in particular, all of the cameras will show great clarity and colors, but the exposure is definitely wrong. This part of the picture, it shouldn't be that bright. And remember, Samsung phones has the option to go for maximum exposure time in night mode. So when I took the same scene, that somehow fixed the exposure issue. This is the first reason why I'm waiting for the software update. And for the videography part, the S24 Ultra also got a huge quality of life change, so we can now change lenses while filming at 4K 60fps. However, night videos look worse than the S23 Ultra and yeah, it's just extremely noisy. And this is the second reason why I'm waiting for the new firmware update on this phone here. And a few more things to mention before we wrap up this review. It, of course, comes with a USB 3.0 port at the bottom and can work with an external display for Samsung DeX. I just plug it into this external screen here and yeah, everything just works. Since our portable monitor also has a touchscreen, we can just use that as well. And in the usual Galaxy S fashion, there's no microSD card slot, but it does have dual nano SIM card slot, no audio jack, and that's about it. The IP68 rating is obviously still here, and we've already come to expect that will be present on all new Galaxy S series of smartphones. So now it is time to conclude the review and also share with you my overall thoughts. I do think that in terms of hardware, the Galaxy S24 Ultra is an iterative upgrade. There are 2 big changes. The first is the screen, which I think is a huge upgrade because of its anti-reflection properties and also using a flat screen. The second change is from a 10x telephoto to a 5x telephoto camera. Depending on how you use the phone to take pictures, this may or may not be a good change. Personally, I do think that 5x is better because it's the appropriate amount of zoom to take pictures of dogs. 10x zoom just makes me feel like I'm cosplaying a National Geographic photographer. And for the price, it's expensive for sure, but I'm sure many people are still gonna buy it no matter what. Samsung will perpetually have discounts and promotions and whatnot, so if you think the price is right, just go for it. And that's all that we have to share with you in this video here. But it is not the last time that we'll see the Galaxy S24 series because we have some other videos planned out already. So do subscribe and stay tuned for those. Thank you for all of your support and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.